Thomas Hardy. Interesting note, it said that, that you read that in the last 30 years he wrote how many poems? 1,000? That's a lot of poems, a lot of things to think about, a lot of things to structure, and, it's a way to, I guess, perfect your craft. To write about anything that pops in your mind, you can write something. You're eating breakfast and something enlightens you about your cereal. Maybe some world-changing events. That's good Fruity Pebbles. And, you could write some ode or something to Bam Bam and Pebbles or something. We're going to read 3 of his today, starting with the Darkling Thrush, a bird. A thrush was mentioned, if you can recall, briefly, back in 1984, when they were in the Golden Country. There was a reference to a darkling thrush, to a bird. So an allusion to some degree here. Page 1005. A man is not very, without giving too much away, a man isn't very appreciative of his surroundings, but things are horrible. And remember, this is a time period a lot like Houseman. This is the transitioning between the pessimism and the darkness, just like we talked about in Dover Beach, of the late 1800s into the 1900s. So he kind of bridges the gap, and so we see a little bit of that. But yet there's a bit of an optimism when the presence of a bird sings. So look at his relationship to, or his thoughts, I guess, pertaining to that bird.
The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy. I leant upon a coppice gate when frost was spectre grey, and winter's dregs made desolate the weakening eye of day. The tangled vine stems scored the sky like strings of broken lyres, and all mankind that haunted nigh had sought their household fires. The land's sharp features seemed to be the century's corpse outleant, his crypt the cloudy canopy, the wind his death lament. The ancient pulse of germ and birth was shrunken hard and dry, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I. At once a voice arose among the bleak twigs overhead, in a full-hearted evensong of joy illimited. An aged thrush, frail, gaunt, and small, in blast-beruffled plume, had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the growing gloom. So little cause for carolings of such ecstatic sound was written on terrestrial things afar or nigh around, that I could think there trembled through his happy good-night air some blessed hope whereof he knew, and I was unaware.
So the first couple stanzas deal with the desolation, the gloominess. It's a very somber painting that this individual's painting for us. Talking about, you see some of the words, desolate, weakening, broken, haunted. All of these things. You see corpse and crypt and death lament. That doesn't seem like a very sunny, happy picture. Okay? And then those last couple lines, and every spirit upon earth seemed fervorless as I, seemed as destitute and gloomy as I, as there's no chance for hope or redemption. But then the next column, at once a voice arose among the bleak twigs overhead in a full-hearted evensong of joy illimited. An aged thrush, so the bird, look at the description, frail, gaunt, and small, in blast-beruffled plume. So small, dirty, frail-looking bird, but it's full-hearted and it's just singing out. Singing out. Had chosen thus to fling his soul upon the glowing gloom. And that makes him stop and think. And you see in that last stanza there, where he's so negative in those first couple stanzas, then the third stanza is, it's about the bird, and then the fourth is the realization that, wow, if something so small, frail, gaunt, weak-looking can find beauty and find a reason. That's the most important. Find a reason to be singing full-hearted in such a gloomy setting, then maybe there is hope for us. Maybe it isn't necessarily so bleak and horrible. And that's where, as he says at the end, the last line, some blessed hope whereof he knew, and I was unaware. It's very similar to a Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, when he has the albatross around him, and he looks down and he says, oh, and I blessed them unaware. And he had no idea that he was doing it, just blessed them unaware. And so it's kind of a nice little parallel on these two lines. So that hope, that desolate feeling, even though it probably doesn't completely change him, it still opens up the picture to, wow, look at this little thing, finding hope and beauty. Maybe I can look a little harder and I can find that beauty and find something here. The man he killed, pretty self-explanatory, analyzing the relationship between two soldiers, one on either side.
Had he and I but met by some old ancient inn, we should have sat us down to wet right many a nipperkin. But ranged as infantry and staring face to face, I shot at him as he at me, and killed him in his place. I shot him dead because he was my foe, just so. My foe, of course, he was. That's clear enough, although he thought he'd list, perhaps, offhand-like, just as I was out of work, had sold his traps, no other reason why. Yes, quaint and curious war is, you shoot a fellow down, you'd treat, if met where any bar is, or help to half a crown.
So a lot of remorse, figuring out why did I do what I did. If you've seen any movies of a war, at times, after the battle's done, they kind of walk around to the corpse and empty out their pockets, whether they're plundering or they're trying to find some intel, who knows, different motivations. But there's usually a moment or a scene where whatever side we, the viewer, are supposed to be on, they are doing, taking the wallet out of their person that they killed, and they open it up, and what do they find? They find a picture, maybe of they're a young wife back home who's waiting for this soldier, and you instantly think, oh, boy, she's going to be horrible news. She'll never see this guy again. Maybe there's a picture with the guy with some kids, and all of a sudden you realize, wow, they are a human being. There's somebody, even though we were fighting, even though he shot at me and I shot at him and I won and I killed him, he is a human being. He is somebody else. And as he says in that third or fourth stanza, the fourth one, that he enlisted probably the same as I did, probably sold off the belongings and just joined for no other reason. He's probably the same person as I am. In fact, as we see at the beginning and at the end, if we had met outside of war, maybe we would have sat down and drank together in a bar. Maybe we could have hit it off and been friends. But I killed him. I shot him dead because he was my foe. Because they told me who my enemy is, and I went and shot and I did what I was supposed to do. But I didn't kill him because he wronged me or that we believe in different things. It was just, he's my enemy. And he's understanding that his enemy might feel exactly the same way about him. And it's a shame that, we are at war. Now, this takes place during the time, if we read more about Hardy, he wasn't a big proponent of war. He was more against it. And it was around these eras, that a lot of the commonwealths of Britain were having some military issues. And not necessarily all uprisings, but there were some, battles and such going on. And so war was prominent. And it was something you just had to do to keep your, 1/4 of the world's population and landmass, to keep the reign and stronghold on that. They didn't necessarily grab all the power through their war, through, fighting, but, in order to maintain, they had to have military presence. It's like Rome, that when they had a lot of the world, in the 300 and 400 AD and so on, when we started this class, they had to put regiments and groupings elsewhere to control the peace and control and keep track of what's going on. So the man he killed, just a lot of regret and remorse and sadness, really. It's not like, yeah, man, I killed you and I'm going to go kill you and you and you. No, I shot him because I had to. It was either him or me. But yet, why? we probably could have gotten along. And that's really the sad notion. This next one is not necessarily as sad. I find this one of the funnier ones, because like I said, I usually have a dark sense of humor and so on. Are you digging on my grave? So the voice is coming from the dead corpse in the grave. And this individual hears noises going on 6 feet above them, and they're wondering who's up there, what's going on.
Are you digging on my grave? By Thomas Hardy. Are you digging on my grave, my loved one, planting rue? No, yesterday he went to wed one of the brightest wealth has bred. It cannot hurt her now, he said, that I should not be true. Then who is digging on my grave, my nearest, dearest kin? Ah, no, they sit and think, what use, what good will planting flowers produce? No tendance of her mound can loose her spirit from death's gin. But someone digs upon my grave, my enemy, prodding sly. Nay, when she heard you had passed the gate that shuts on all flesh soon or late, she thought you no more worth her hate, and cares not where you lie. Then who is digging on my grave? Say, since I have not guessed. Oh, it is I, my mistress dear, your little dog, who still lives near. And much I hope my movements here have not disturbed your rest. Ah, yes, you dig upon my grave, why flashed it not on me, that one true heart was left behind? What feeling do we ever find to equal among humankind a dog's fidelity? Mistress, I dug upon your grave to bury a bone, in case I should be hungry near this spot, when passing on my daily trot. I am sorry, but I quite forgot it was your resting place.
So this woman being buried, hears all this commotion. She goes, who's up there? Who came? Oh, is it my beloved? Is it my husband? Is he planting some flowers? Are they up there doing different things? Or my loved ones? The first stanza. Well, no, it's not my husband because he went to wed yesterday. So it's not him because he's off doing other things and not worrying about me. Well, then who's digging up my grave? Is it my nearest kin? Ah, no. They sit and think, what's the use? What good will planting flowers? But why plant flowers? What are they going to... No, why even bother? Waste time. Okay, so it isn't her husband, isn't her nearest kin. What about my enemy? Oh, are they here? No. She thought you no more worth her hate and cares not where you lie. So now that you're dead, she's not thinking about you anymore. She's not coming to do things to you. So it isn't my family, my loved ones. It isn't my enemy. Well, then who's up there? Who's digging on my grave? Oh, well, it's I, your dog. Oh, I hope I haven't disturbed you in my digging. Oh, yes, you dig upon my grave. Why didn't I think of that before? Oh, the one true heart, the one being that really still cares about me and loves me and is trying to still come to me. Oh, wonderful, a dog's loyalty, a dog's fidelity. And then here's where my dark humor comes in. Oh, mistress, no, I was digging. I was burying a bone. In case I were to ever be hungry near this spot, I completely forgot that you were here. I'm sorry. Do you see the humor in that? Maybe the dark humor. Maybe it's just really, really sad for that lady who's dead. But, oh, was it my lovers, my family, my kin? No, it's your dog. Oh, of course, the dog. We had such a great relationship. You love me, you miss me, you miss me. Oh, no, I was just putting a snack here, a stash, so if I am ever hungry when I'm walking by, I can eat. I'm sorry to bother you. I completely forgot you were here. Completely forgot. So again, little dark humor, I think, but still, once again, the death connection. We see the darkness, not necessarily morbidness of a zombie talking or anything. Nothing that dark. But yet we have some humor sprinkled in here that we haven't necessarily seen too often in poetry, and it just kind of shows you that poems can be used for various reasons and desired outcomes. And so